Coming up on the Monday edition of Carolina Week.
The publication of a DTH cartoon is sparking more controversy. I'm Maggie Faust, and I'll show you how both sides are dealing with the issue.
And then we'll show you how the town of Chapel Hill prepares for the threat of winter weather.
In sports, the first pitch has been thrown, which means baseball season is underway. We'll show you how the boys in blue are preparing for a new year.
Plus, Miles Henderson is here with your winter weather update.
Those stories and more. Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening and welcome to the February 20th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Shelley Basinger.
And I'm Crystal Calloway. To date, at least 40 people have died in Middle East protests about Danish editorial cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad. The Daily Tar Heel brought the issue to campus with its own cartoons, sparking debate between the paper and the Muslim Student Association. Maggie Faust is live in the newsroom with more about the underlying issues surrounding this controversy. Maggie?
Crystal, the MSA responded to the DTH cartoon with a visual and a forum educating people about its beliefs. But the DTH maintains it didn't do anything wrong in publishing the cartoon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
The MSA held its Extinguishing Ignorance with Knowledge event in the Pit Thursday night. The diverse crowd included UNC administrators and both the current and newly elected student body presidents. Event organizer R.F. Khan says the issue is not whether or not the Daily Tar Heel had the right to print this cartoon, but whether the paper should have printed it.
We do feel the staff had a responsibility of whether or not they should have published it, and we personally feel that they shouldn't have.
Chris Cameron is the opinion editor of the DTH and took part in making the decision to run this cartoon. He says he has standards when deciding what to publish and what not to publish.
So if it doesn't incite violence and it's not harmful for minors to view, I'm probably not going to pull it.
David Arant teaches media ethics here at UNC's journalism school. He says the Daily Tar Heel's decision to print the cartoon surprised him, and he isn't sure Cameron lived up to his own criteria.
I would say that it has incited violence.
Cameron's response?
I had no reason to think that that would happen here.
Media law professor Kathy Packer also expressed her surprise. She says the First Amendment gives journalists the right to offend through opinion pages and editorial cartoons, but doesn't think the cartoon's message was worth the offense.
I couldn't see any message that outweighed the offense that was taken.
The MSA also held an educational forum after the vigil on Thursday to help give non-Muslims insight into why depictions of the Prophet are so hurtful. But Cameron points out that the Quran doesn't state that such depictions are blasphemous.
If I'm not mistaken, that's a tradition and it's not in the Quran. And if I'm not mistaken, that same tradition says that it's sacrilege to draw anything that's living. So I wonder where the outrage was whenever we draw any living thing.
Crystal, it hasn't reached the level of outrage we've seen internationally, but the controversy here is very real.
So, Maggie, does MSA have any other events planned in the coming week?
Crystal, Monday evening, students will sit in at the DTH office to demand an apology for printing the cartoon. If the DTH doesn't apologize, students will consider asking advertisers to withdraw their support from the paper.
Certainly something to keep our eye on. Thanks, Maggie.
Freelance reporter James Bunn has some scary tales of covering the news from the front lines in Afghanistan and Israel. He shared those recently at Carolina. Bunn doesn't call himself a war correspondent, but the freelance journalist's experiences tell a different story. He told aspiring journalists at UNC to understand and respect their sources. Bunn also discussed the importance of news reporting. He says making a story public can have a positive effect on how the story turns out.
If our policymakers feel the laser intensity of the focus of the American people on what they're doing in a particular place, they behave differently than they do if we're not paying any attention at all or we're not interested.
Bunn also shared his experiences as one of the first reporters to cover the American AIDS epidemic. The saying goes, if you don't like the weather in North Carolina, wait 2 hours and it will change. Whatever Mother Nature brings us in the final weeks of winter, road crews are ready. Public Works employee Mark Schrader helped clear the roads during the ice storm of 2002.
It was real cold, so we just basically salt and sand, just to try to keep the roads safe until the temperature warmed up to where it would actually start melting off the road.
Since then, the town of Chapel Hill has updated its road clearing system. Besides using sand and salt,
workers have a new way to pre-treat the roads with a calcium chloride solution spray. Public Works Director Bill Lettieri is confident his team can handle a snow or ice event this winter.
We keep our brine solution equipment and our salt spreaders on the ready, especially in the case of a forecast. We have people on standby if it's after hours to come in right away if they need to, and immediately get those trucks out on the street, pre-treating or de-icing.
If winter weather finally does arrive, Schrader says he's glad crews will be able to pre-treat the roads.
When that takes place, it will keep snow or ice from sticking on the roads. It'll make it a lot easier.
Weathercaster Miles Henderson will let us know in a few minutes if we'll need those crews to hit the streets.
As more buildings go up on campus, the number of parking spaces available to students and faculty continues to go down. That's leading to a parking crunch. Monday's winter weather didn't stop DPS officers from issuing a parking ticket to this SUV, parked in a construction lot near Cobb Hall. The lot is one of several on campus that used to be available to students and staff until construction projects eliminated the spaces. The DPS says about 600 spaces on campus were removed this year to make way for construction. Driving across campus could become even more of a hassle in the next few weeks. The portion of Pittsboro Street behind the Carolina Inn is closed. That's because a steam tunnel beneath the road is undergoing emergency repairs. Though police officers are on hand to help reroute confused drivers, the closing is causing traffic backups in the area. Only Carolina Inn occupants can drive on the road to get to their hotel. Administrators say the repairs could take as long as 8 weeks. Until Pittsboro is open, you can use East Cameron Avenue or Ransom Street between Macaulay and West Cameron Avenue to avoid standstill traffic on South Columbia Street.
There's more construction near campus in hopes of making roadways safer for pedestrians. This is the intersection of MLK Boulevard and Northfield Drive. Soon, this button will change these lights so pedestrians can safely cross the street. Constructing the crosswalk will cost $50,000. The developer of Chapel Ridge Apartments is paying for the entire project. There's a plan in the works for a 2.7-mile bicycle and pedestrian corridor linking Chapel Hill and Durham. This is a much-needed pathway since many of the roads are too narrow for both drivers and bikers to share. The corridor would be on Old Durham Road, which turns into Old Chapel Hill Road. This passageway would stretch from Sage Road in Chapel Hill all the way to Garrett Road in Durham.
After 40 years of working in local government, Chapel Hill's town manager is stepping down. Horton will retire on September 1st. 61-year-old Horton is a native North Carolinian and served as Chapel Hill town manager for 16 years. Horton graduated from UNC with a bachelor's in political science and a master's in public administration. North Carolina's legislature wouldn't ratify the Constitution until 1791 when the Bill of Rights was added. Now, some in Orange County say they want to make sure those rights continue to be protected. For the past 4 years, Orange County's Bill of Rights Defense Committee has tried to educate people about what happens when they lose their civil liberties. The group is currently fighting ways that members say the U.S. Patriot Act infringes on people's rights and discourages civil disobedience. Margaret Mesh says people often tend to ignore these issues.
So the problem is to try to make people aware that treating one person one way, another person should be treated the same way under the law.
There are 402 Bill of Rights defense councils across the country. Carrboro was the 8th town to create one.
The next time you fill a prescription, it might be free. For the next 3 months, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina members can fill a generic prescription at no charge. Pharmacies will automatically waive the copayment or coinsurance payment. According to the FDA, generic drugs are as reliable as brand name equivalents and are held to the same government standards. Blue Cross Blue Shield is offering this deal as a means of promoting the use of generic drugs. Carolina Week has new information about Tuesday's runoff election.
We'll show you how the senior class candidates are preparing for Tuesday's runoff election and who's endorsing who.
When I found out my jeans were made using child labor in sweatshops, I wrote a letter to the company saying, reconsider your labor practices. A few months later, I get a letter back saying, thanks for being a loyal customer, and they included a coupon for a 25% discount on their jeans. So I got smart, wrote letters every day to all the stores that carry the brand, asking them to stop supporting the companies who use child labor in sweatshops. And I just kept getting letters back, thanking me for my concerns, and more coupons for more discounts on more jeans. So I'm telling my friend about it, and she flips out, saying that between all the letters and coupons, some paper company cut down a small forest, driving off 2 indigenous tribes, hundreds of endangered animals, killing thousands of plant species, some of which may have contained vaccines for HIV, cancer, and syphilis. Meanwhile, the guys cutting down the trees are 13-year-old kids who will work night and day for months just to save up enough money to buy a pair of jeans made by child labor in sweatshops.
Last Tuesday's elections left juniors wondering who their senior class president and VP will be next year. They'll find out after they cast their ballots in this Tuesday night's runoff election. Candidates Meg Peterson and Eric Schmidt say they're doing everything they can to get the word out about their platform and the runoff. On Monday, former candidates Jonathan Friedman and Barry Turner announced their endorsement for the Peterson-Schmidt ticket. Despite all the hard work, Peterson and Schmidt say they're still energized.
More pumped up. Every day, get more excited. No, we're still really into it. We're loving it. We're still having fun and trying to get our message out there. So.
On the other side of the campaign are Doug Weiss and Jewel McDonald. After taking a break to recuperate the day after the election, they've been hard at work since then to get juniors to notice them. Weiss says they've been getting help from Bernard Holloway's campaign staff. He says that'll help erase the 20-vote lead Meg Peterson had after the general election.
We're feeling pretty good. We're feeling confident. We're getting out to a lot of new people. We feel like our platform is really connecting with students. And we really think the key point is to get students out to vote more than anything else tomorrow.
Juniors can log on to Student Central Tuesday to vote. Polls close at 10 p.m. The two teams running for senior class officers have more competition than they might realize.
Reporter Sarah Wiles tells us how write-in votes always make for interesting student elections.
Board of Elections? Well, some students decided to have fun when voting by writing in many different candidates. Since they can vote for whoever they want to, some students tell us who they'd like to see in Student Congress.
If I could put anyone in Student Congress, it would be Tyler Hansbrough.
Ellen DeGeneres, in a heartbeat.
I think I'd put Oprah in Student Congress. Yeah, hands down, it'd be Oprah.
Board of Elections co-vice chairman Jim Brewer says write-in votes can be influential enough to change the outcome of races.
Roy, last year with the senior class officers, when we had to have a runoff for them, he was the difference between the why there was no majority.
Some other top write-in vote-getters include Tyler Hansbrough, Wes Miller, the Pirate Captain from NC State, your mama, and yes, even J.J. Reddick got a vote. In Chapel Hill, I'm Sarah Wiles, Carolina Week.
In 2001, UNC star athlete Julius Peppers won 2 student Congress elections because of write-in votes. He later declined the positions. 2002 alumnus Brendan James is making it big as a solo music artist and recently found time to visit the place where it all started.
I always thought that I'd see you again.
James played for a packed house at Yates Irish Pub Friday night. The candlelit atmosphere helped make his performance more personal, and he took time to explain why he wrote some of his songs. James became a member of the UNC Clefhangers his sophomore year. He says even though his career's taking off, he still gets nervous before he performs.
It's a great quote by Sammy Davis Jr. I think he said that the day that I'm not nervous before a show is the day I want to quit. And I think that's a really healthy feeling to have. You should have nerves. You should have your adrenaline pumping through you, and you become a better performer because of it.
James recently signed a contract with Capitol Records and will begin recording his first album in April. Well, that looked like a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed that night.
No, I was really glad that I got a chance to go. Weathercaster Miles Henderson is here with us. You know, when I went to the concert, it was pretty warm during the day on Friday, and then when I left, it was freezing cold.
Yeah, we saw a huge drop in temperatures over the weekend. And as we saw, snowplows are ready just in case for winter weather. But will we need them later in the week? I have the answer coming up right after the break.
Passing gas can be deadly.
Whoa! Oh, something's funky.
Passing gas releases a plume of toxic vapors,
Oh, honey, not in the car.
like ammonia and hydrogen cyanide,
Oh.
and lethal poisons that can linger even when windows are open. Kids shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke. Don't pass gas, take it outside.
I heard about this company dumping toxins in local rivers, and I called their executives to say stop. But they were too busy counting profits while the rivers are being destroyed, birds and fish are dying, and the local kids are getting cancer. So I organized a huge protest, and we actually got the company shut down. But now half the town's unemployed, and the kids are twice as sick since they can't get health care, since their parents lost the insurance they had when they worked for the company who dumped all the toxins in the first place.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weathercaster Miles Henderson. We've seen a virtual roller coaster of temperatures over the past week, with 70s last week and sub-freezing temperatures this past weekend. We have another upslope in the roller coaster this week as warmer temperatures roll into the forecast. The temperatures may be nice, but we're going to see some moisture in the atmosphere that's going to bring us a soggy week, especially through the center part of the work week. And a slight chance of snow for this week. But nothing to head to the grocery store just yet. Let's take a look at that U.S. satellite map. Here's the cloud cover that's spanning basically all of the southeast right now. We're seeing a few isolated showers or isolated clouds right now and some showers just to the south of us. If we zoom in on the southeast, we can see that a little bit clearer. There's basically cloud cover over all of North Carolina, and these darker clouds right here are where we're starting to see some precipitation over South Carolina and northern Georgia. That's staying mainly in the form of rain right now. It's a little too far south to get any mix or any snow. Take a look at the southern radar. There's those storms that I was talking about. Some can be a little bit intense, especially this cell right here in South Carolina. These are basically moving due east, so they shouldn't affect anywhere near the Triangle or Triad region. They're going to stay basically to our south. But if we look at the surface map, here's what we have going on. We have this low pressure system with this stationary front draping all the way across down into Mexico, and this other low off to our west. These are going to stay down to the south and just continue to push moisture from the Gulf Stream up into our area throughout the next week almost. It's going to just stay to our south and continue bringing moisture up into the area. When it does so, we're going to see a series of storms that just continue to pop up day in and day out. They're not going to be very intense storms, no convective activity, just basically widespread, just kind of light, drizzly rain throughout the next couple of days. We can take a look at that in the 4-day forecast. For Tuesday, look for partly cloudy skies throughout the majority of the day, but Thursday night, expect the showers to move in. With a high of 53 during the day and a low of 35, it's going to be back to normal temperatures. For Wednesday, it's going to be a big rain day. Like I said before, no big storms, but just a slight drizzle throughout the majority of the day. A high around 46 on that day with a low of 38. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies. We may catch a few lingering showers in the morning with a high of around 53 and a low of 33. On Friday, it's going to be the best day of the week with a high of 58. It's going to be a nice day to get out and enjoy the weather. Should be a good day to go and check out another concert in Chapel Hill. If one's around, maybe catch a new up-and-coming artist just like last weekend.
Definitely. Well, hopefully we can all enjoy the weather before it gets cold again.
Let's hope so.
Thanks, Miles.
Thanks, Miles. Sportscaster Michael Crow joins us now. And Michael, I wanted to tell you that I take some exceptional pride when we beat conference opponents.
Yeah, the Heels, after getting beat at Wake Forest last year, they came into town and they really turned things around. Coming up in sports, the Heels found themselves trailing at the half again. We'll show you how Carolina bounced back and turned the game around.
I can listen. I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help. You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
For the 1.3 million children living with AIDS, we can do more than just learn the facts about HIV. Through Caring for Kids 101, a campus outreach program, college students nationwide are helping to end this deadly disease. Half of all newly infected people are under the age of 24. Your assignment, get involved with Caring for Kids 101.
Every child deserves the chance to live a healthy life. Support the Elizabeth Glazer Pediatric AIDS Foundation.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Michael Crow. The 23rd ranked Tar Heels visited Wake Forest on Sunday looking for their 8th ACC victory of the season. Brandon Underwood has more from Winston-Salem.
In the first half, Wake took advantage of a combined 29 points between Eric Williams and Justin Gray. Gray had 4 threes, including this one. Carolina hung tough, thanks to 12 first-half points by Rayshawn Terry. The Heels turned it over 9 times in the opening 20 minutes and committed costly mistakes. They found themselves trailing at the half once again.
I didn't see one player sweating at halftime, so to me that meant we hadn't worked nearly as hard as I felt like we needed to work, and I thought we did a much better job of that in the second half.
Down 52-43, Carolina turned up the defensive pressure and got some easy baskets. David Noel got it going and Tyler Hansbrough did his thing down low. But the real damage was done by Winston-Salem native Rayshawn Terry, who returned home and led the Heels to an 11-point victory.
It's big for Rayshawn, particularly to come back home and to play such a prominent role in having a win.
The former R.J. Reynolds star scored a game-high 24 points, one shy of a career high, hitting 7 out of 14 shots from the field. The scoring outburst delighted Carolina fans young and old and left the boys from Wake hanging their heads. In Winston-Salem, I'm Brandon Underwood, Carolina Week.
The next challenge is a big one. The boys in blue travel to Raleigh Wednesday night to take on the Wolfpack in a pivotal ACC showdown. Well, Carolina basketball, good food, and Roy Williams, what more could Tar Heel fans ask for? Sutton's Drugstore is a Franklin Street landmark, and on Thursday at the restaurant's counter, Roy Williams hosted his weekly radio show with Woody Durham. Roy has used opportunities like this to interact with the university community and basketball fans. Well, as the old saying goes, wait till next year, which is what the Tar Heel baseball team has been doing since June. Reporter Matt Strickland says this squad has high expectations.
The Heels have been swinging bats, throwing balls, using every tool available to get ready for another long, grueling season. Even Coach Fox has a couple special tools to help the team win this year. Although Fox can rake the field, he wishes last season they had raked the competition a little bit better.
We did win, 41 games, but we didn't finish the season like we wanted to. So when we look back on it, I think we look back on with a little disappointment.
Starting right-handed pitcher for the Heels, Daniel Bard, spent all summer pitching in the Cape Cod League, thinking about last season's letdown, but didn't let it keep him down.
So I went out there, had a pretty good summer. I feel like just kind of made me pitch with a chip on my shoulder, so I think that's a good thing. It gives you a little more intensity.
I know they say diamonds are a girl's best friend, but for these guys, nothing sparkles quite as much as the dirt diamond at the beginning of a new season. From Chapel Hill, I'm Matt Strickland, Carolina Week.
The bristles of the broom were stiff this weekend as the baseball team swept Seton Hall. Friday's game served as the Heels' first test of the season. Reed Funk led the Heels to an 8-3 victory, going 2 for 4 at the plate, knocking in 3 RBIs on this double. The Heels made some tough defensive plays as well in close situations like this 5-3 double play to hold on to the win. Carolina continued its success in Sunday's doubleheader. The Heels saved their energy in Game 1, squeaking out a 9-7 victory, only to unleash their wrath in a 21-2 thrashing in Game 2. Carolina returns to action Tuesday against Coastal Carolina. Well, the softball team opened the Triangle Classic with a game against Toledo. Designated hitter Casey Testa drove in 3 runs on the day, the first coming on this RBI groundout. That would be more than enough for freshman pitcher Amber Johnson. She struck out 8 batters on her way to her first no-hitter. The defense made some solid plays to get out of a jam in the 4th inning. And also, freshman center fielder Brianna Brown made the play of the day, firing a strike to the plate to turn 2. Check this out. The Heels prevail 7-0. Well, the wrestling team closed out its season Sunday at home against Old Dominion. Sunday's final dual meet was senior day for Garrett Atkinson, and it was no breeze for the Heels. 3 early losses set Carolina back 16-10. The team was still in a slump until junior David DeShiel showed up. He and Spencer Nadolski gave the Heels that extra oomph needed to stage an exciting rally. Vince Ramirez dominated his opponent, but the icing on the cake was this pin by junior Chris Ramos. 12th-ranked Nadolski thinks the team is on the course to peak.
We're not ready right now, but we will be in a couple weeks. That's why we're breaking ourselves down, and we're going to have a nice 1 week of total rest and then be ready to go for the big time.
The UNC women's tennis team looked to recover after a tough loss last weekend to Notre Dame. The 11th-ranked Tar Heels faced off against Texas A&M Saturday. Despite some great shots by Carolina, the Aggies took the lead. The doubles point came down to Jenna Long and Sarah Annenson, who battled in a tight match. Thanks to some very strong serving and a little bit of fan support, check out this little guy, the Tar Heels got the win. Annenson also won her singles match along with Alston Smith and Laura Reichart. Heels win 5-2. Well, as the spring season starts up, most of the winter sports are winding down. The women's swimming and diving team traveled to Maryland this weekend and took 3rd place in the ACC championships. They finished behind Florida State and Virginia. Well, with the win at Wake Forest, Hansbrough was voted Rookie of the Week for his 8th time, and the women's basketball team gets in action Monday night. They'll face BC at home.
I'm sure that'll be a good game to watch, and if Hansbrough doesn't get ACC Rookie of the Year, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year, hell, why not?
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Mike.
Now, Shelly, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, starting with what's your favorite pizza topping?
Okay, well, I could eat pretty much anything on my pizza. If I had to pick my top 2, it would be mushrooms and green pepper.
That sounds good to me, too. Coming up, we'll show you if it's not what type of crust you get that's important, it's what you get on your pizza. Well, that can say a lot about you.
Two kings, two jacks. Nice hand.
220. We've got a polyp at City Park.
220. We're on it.
You never know when a colon polyp is going to show up.
Into the diaphragm.
Get the polyp early and stop colon cancer before it starts. Don't wait for symptoms. Get the test. Get the polyp.
You hate me because I'm a player.
Get the cure.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Olives, mushrooms, hammer cheese.
Well, whatever the topping, reporter Paula Cerruti tells us how what you like on your pizza is a good indicator of your personality.
I like jalapenos and fresh tomatoes.
I like pesto and sausage and spinach.
We had cheese and a pepperoni. I like anchovies and mushrooms. It's my favorite pizza.
Everyone has favorite pizza toppings, but have you ever thought about what this says about you?
That I'm a spicy kind of guy.
I like change.
I guess that I'm not very experimental with my pizza. I think it says I'm adventurous and no one else is going to eat this pizza.
Dr. Alan Hirsch at the Smell and Taste Treatment and Research Foundation says there is a link between people's favorite pizza toppings and their personalities. For example, people who prefer non-traditional toppings, such as pineapple or anchovies, tend to be aggressive and natural eaters. Those who like single meat toppings are described as irritable. Multiple meat topping lovers like to be the center of attention.
I think people would be too busy eating all the meat on their plate to want to be the center of attention.
And vegetable eaters are empathetic and understanding.
This says, I'm aggressive and a natural leader, and I like men who are the same. So mix an anchovies and tomato if you're ever in Chapel Hill.
Whether you're alone, with your buddies, or on a date, remember, pizza toppings can say something about you, so order wisely.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Paula Cerruti, Carolina Week.
Well, Crystal, it said that people that like to eat vegetables on their pizza, they're understanding. And I'd say that just describes me to a T.
I guess we ignored the fact that they said also a little apathetic.
Okay, well, I'll give them that one. Thanks for watching this edition of Carolina Week.
Good night.